5 a.m., the world is dark and silent. That's when my phone screen blazed alive, slicing through the night with a single message that stole my breath. I saw my name there. Bold, official, inescapable, buried in a notice I couldn't believe. An overdue business debt, legal warnings, and the chilling discovery that I was listed as the company's owner. In those few seconds, my comfortable old life split open and sleep abandoned me completely. My name is Yun Hee, and I am 62 years old. For most of my life, I was an elementary school teacher, steady, invisible days spent among children, until I left my job early to take care of my granddaughter. They all said this would be a gentle chapter, that I'd entered a golden age. My husband, Young-soo, and I have been together for over 30 years. My son Jun-ho, now 35, married Mi-jung, and together with their little girl, they live just down the street from us. Outsiders would say we were the picture of contentment. But my days felt stale, heavy as untouched corners gathering dust. Each morning brought the same food, the same careful routes, the same wordless routines. Sometimes it seemed Young-soo and I merely counted each other's breaths, as if marriage had run quietly aground on the shore of the indifference. And then there's my daughter-in-law, Mi-jung. Our relationship never started smoothly. I smile easily on the outside, storing worries quietly on the inside, while Mi-jung tends to sigh first, and only sometimes smile at all. These days, everyone says working mothers are the new normal. But when my granddaughter was born, and most household responsibilities slid onto my shoulders, my heart grew tangled. I wanted to help, but wished for some space as well, a gentle retreat. Mi-jung, though, seemed to take my support as her due, an investment to be drawn on without thought. Small criticisms, as trivial as under-seasoned baby food or cluttered toys, swelled into something much larger, until the feeling of being prickled barefoot through my own life never went away. But that morning, the message was direct and cold. I was warned about mounting debts, run up by a business account opened in my name, and threatened with legal action. I stared at those words, fighting disbelief. Memories flickered. Could I have ever lent my name so carelessly? Surely not. Still, my name and every detail matched perfectly. My fingers shook as I dialed the number from the message. The voice on the other end confirmed my birth date, my address, everything exact. It felt as if the world had drained out of me, leaving me stranded in the kitchen, emptied. My mind went straight to Jun-ho. He's always chasing something new, running his little startups, money always tight. Months ago, Mi-jung hinted at needing to use a business license to make deals with vendors. I said no, firmly. My own hard experience told me that debts can multiply, and that lending your name is not just a risk, but a habit that binds your heart to another's mistakes. Our refusal hung between us and left things icy since. Words shrank, sighs grew. As soon as the morning rush was over, I called bank after bank. Each institution confirmed what the message said. An online sales company had signed contracts with my name for card readers and logistics, even borrowing money, again naming me guarantor. I went for my ID, checked it in my hand. No one else had it. How then did my personal information get out? No one had answers. That afternoon, I tried to smother my anxiety with chores while waiting for Mi-jung to arrive for the child. When she came through the door, I watched her carefully. She seemed oblivious, or perhaps willfully so. Her indifference stung. Our granddaughter spilled her toys on the floor. I bent quietly and gathered them, anything to keep from exploding. That evening, Young-soo came home. I put a dinner on the table, but had no appetite. Young-soo rarely starts a conversation. We've let a wall of tired silence settle between us. In bed that night, staring at the dark, an old memory crept up. Early in our marriage, Young-soo had started a business and asked me to make a credit card in my name. I'd hesitated, but did it, and later suffered when those payments went late. Lending your name entangles your heart, a sly, lasting debt. The next day, I went from the town office to the tax center. The records were thorough. The digital signature and contract all traced to an IP address, a 10-minute walk from home to an old commercial building. I climbed to the 3rd floor, found a nameless, locked office, glimpsed battered desks and delivery boxes through the glass. I took a picture and returned home, heart sinking as hard as any elevator, the numbers looming over my dwindling savings. Days passed. I grew obsessed with suspicion, especially about Mi-jung. I became convinced her spending was reckless. The daily coffee outings, the overflowing online carts. I kept this anger pressed down, growing quieter outside as my insides burned hotter. I learned at this age how silence can smolder. I started searching. Maybe some small clue would prove my suspicion right or wrong. In Young-soo's desk, buried under old bank books, I found an envelope. Inside, hid a faded medical receipt from a maternity hospital. The mother's namespace was blank, but under Guardian shone my name and ID number. Yet I was certain I'd only ever had one child. Whose record was this? My hands shook holding that scrap of paper. That night, I twisted in bed beside my husband. I wanted to ask, whose pregnancy had I been listed for, and why? But as always, my lips stayed dry and sealed, and Young-soo, as usual, turned his back. Small suspicions can tower up, and I lay awake, tracing the cracks on the ceiling, counting down to morning. By sunrise, I'd resolved to dig deeper. The hospital had changed names, but records remained. The staff thumbed through old ledgers, stopping at a name. Jung-hee, my younger sister's name. Could it be someone else? But the address matched our childhood alleyway, the one where I last saw my sister before she stormed away and vanished from my life. We'd parted with angry words and unfinished apologies, and I'd never found her again. That evening, I washed dishes as slowly as possible, unsure, uneasy. Mi-jung barely touched her food and wouldn't meet my eye. Each layer of silence stripped my heart raw. The collection coals tightened like a noose. Sometimes it rang all afternoon. Each time my name was uttered on the phone, it sounded less and less my own. I filed a report of identity theft with the police, wrote long explanations, noted every date and call. Across the pages, my handwriting slumped with fatigue. In that period, Junho and Mi-jung began moving their belongings out, saying they'd set up their home separately. I didn't press. The reason was written in the way. Junho looked away, and Mi-jung clutched her phone. In their new life, my presence was unwelcome. A ghost, with all her suspicions and none of her answers. Caught between generations, I was transparent. Then, just as spring hints at its return in the cold, a new message arrived. This time, it was a refund notice for an old utility bill, credited not to my account, but to one registered under Mi-jung's name. The company names overlapped with the mysterious 3rd floor office. The threads began to connect in my mind. I went to Mi-jung's new place, and on the shoe cupboard by the door, I spotted a delivery label. Recipient, my name. Sender, that same company. The note scrawled a strange code. I suddenly saw two possibilities. That Mi-jung had indeed used my name, and that Young-soo might have known. I paused. An old memory surfaced. Young-soo once mentioning a borrowed sum given to a friend years ago, a friend who, by chance, had the same name as Jong-hee's old boyfriend. Nothing was clear. Everything tangled together. Yet the evidence was piling up. The medical receipt, the refund, my name, everywhere. I made a decision. I'd wait for the weekend when the whole family would gather. I would bring the papers, lay them on the table, and speak my truth, no matter how it burned. On that Saturday, I arranged the old receipt next to the printed bank statements. One by one, family members drifted in. My heart thudded as I gathered my courage and began to explain, not in accusation, but in a desperate need to clear the fog. I spoke about every suspicion, every hurt, every hidden truth I feared. No one interrupted. I talked until my voice trembled. That's when Young-soo finally made a noise, knuckles rapping the table. My heart lurched. But his face held no outrage, only resignation. In that silent surrender, I understood. He had known everything. The truth, at last uncovered, was older and closer than I ever guessed. Here came the twist that undid me. Mi-jung, my daughter-in-law, was my sister, Jong-hee's child. All those years ago, my sister abandoned our home, pregnant, alone, then ill, and soon gone forever. Young-soo helped her as best he could, registering as guardian in my name without telling me, sheltering the child through silent negotiations with fate. Years passed. When Mi-jung grew up, she found her way, by strange coincidence or destiny, into my son's company, then into his life, then marriage. Young-soo never told me. He said he could not bear to disturb my sense of peace or the fragile balance of our family by unveiling the bitter lineage behind it all. My knees buckled as the weight of this truth fell on me. All the anger, all the blame I had nursed toward Mi-jung collapsed into nothing. She found my name among those old records, somewhere in forgotten drawers. When she asked for my help and I refused, how must that have wounded her? How cold must I have seemed? My years of keeping my distance, what distance did I really create? The business debts? Young-soo had set up an account to help Mi-jung, but in his old pattern, he lost track, then tied financial knots with Junho's ventures. Mi-jung tried to fix it, shifting contracts into her name and sorting refunds, but the past kept echoing in my paperwork. In our cold marriage, Young-soo handled everything alone, and I brooded alone in turn. For several days, I was inconsolable. Each meal, I'd stare at my spoon, and tears rose before food. My sister's lost name overlapped with my daughter-in-law's tired smile. Only my granddaughter, still innocent, clambered into my lap and held out her warm, small hand. That comfort grounded me. The pain settled, like dust, never really gone, just quieter. But at last, I made some choices. I told my family that all contracts and guarantees in my name would be cancelled and protected going forward. I promised myself to apologize to Mi-jung clearly, yet to set sharper financial boundaries. I told Young-soo that my name was not his to use, and that from now on, silence was unacceptable. My demands might have come too late, but better late than never. Days passed as I met with tax offices and banks, filling out forms, acknowledging my own carelessness. Some debts were reduced, others wiped away. Mi-jung worked to put everything legal in her name. Sometimes she left no note by my door, only the quiet rectitude of her actions. Action became her apology, a language I finally understood. Youngsu and I still struggled to close the gulf. But slowly, I noticed small changes. Him organizing a drawer, showing me a bank book, answering a question. The invisible frost in our home showed its first fine cracks. One afternoon, my phone brought another message. A photo of my granddaughter, smiling with a paper bouquet made at school. No explanation, just the image. A simple gratitude. My tears left a faint mark on the screen. A soft, silent apology to the past. In a quiet moment, I whispered my sister, Jonghee's name. When someone is gone, you face a choice. Clutch the pain tight and hurt yourself, or open it with care, ready to heal. I chose the latter. I shared Jonghee's story gently with Mijong, promising to find old photos, promising not to weigh her down anymore. Life gives us events too strange for easy belief. A kind favor gone wrong, silence turning truth into secrets, old wounds hiding behind new conflicts. But even so, one message can unlock years of misunderstanding, and a family's tangled origins can teach deeper understanding. I learned boundaries matter, and honesty, though sometimes late, can still bring healing. If you were in my place, what would you have forgiven first? And where would you have drawn the line?